I wanted the frame to have some depth, so I picked up the kind of weather stripping that has a double loop to it. I want to make sure they're all a little bit longer than the mirror so that they cover the edges up. And I like to use an old box to make sure that I've got them perfectly cut. To make the weather stripping look more like a pretty frame, I'm going to paint it. Now it's time to adhere the weather stripping to the mirror. The foam has double-sided tape on the back, so all I need to do is peel off the cover strips and I'm ready to stick it into place.
Grab some 2x2s to increase your bathroom storage in a few easy steps. I cut 4 2x2s to 6 feet each and cut 6 to 19 inches, and I cut another 6 to 4 inches each. I sanded all the boards, then used my Craig jig to drill pocket holes in each side of the smallest 2x2. I secured the 4-inch boards to the 19-inch boards with pocket screws and wood glue, and used a countersink bit to pre-drill the long 2x2 to the rectangle frame. I filled the screw holes with wood filler on the front side only and sanded the excess off smooth once dry. I wiped, cleaned, and painted the frame. While that was drying, I sanded cedar 1x6 boards, ripped them down to size, and sealed them with 2 coats of polyurethane. I used a brad nailer to secure the cedar boards to the top of each rectangle base and slid the shelf over my toilet.
I wanted to give this wall behind a toilet a feature without spending money. We'd recently changed the flooring and I had 1 box of luxury vinyl plank flooring left over. I started with the first plank at the top of the wall. I made sure it was level. I continued attaching pieces and securing them with the nail gun. At the bottom, I cut the plank so that it wouldn't interfere with the water line. The wall was looking great, but I needed to work on the trim pieces at the end. Since there were leftover materials lying around, I bought some L brackets and attached them to the 1x4 pieces. I then set these where I wanted them on the wall, made sure they were level, and attached them. I ran down to the hardware store and picked up 2 sheets of beadboard. Then I measured and cut the beadboard down to size using a table saw. I attached it to the wall with my nail gun. It took no time at all. The next step was to add a wood border to the top. I used very inexpensive common board. Then I painted the top of it before attaching it to the wall. When I attached the board, there was a small gap between the wood and beadboard, but it was easy to fill this gap using paintable caulking. Once that dried, I got started with painting. In order to finish off my beadboard accent, I added hooks. I always thought that changing shower fixtures was an impossible thing for me to do. Happily, I was wrong and I was able to update this shower in a day and for just under $100. Remove the shower arm and shower head. The next part was to add the new shower arm. First, I wrapped it with the tape that comes in the kit. This helps it fit snugly. Then I screwed it in as tight as I could by hand. After the arm was in place, it was just a matter of screwing the new shower head in place. To remove the handle, I pried off the little cover using my flathead screwdriver again. Once this is off, the center screw is exposed and can be removed. I used my flathead screwdriver and a razor to remove the plate. Added in the sticky foam gasket piece and then screwed it all into place. The next step was to add the handle, which is secured in place by a screw at the bottom. I turned the spout upside down and there was a little screw there that I loosened with an Allen wrench. I added an adapter for the new spout and then just screwed it into place. The last step was removing the block-off plate, which just involved my flathead screwdriver once again. I'll show you how $35 in tile can transform your bathroom, and it's not in the way you think. I added liquid nails to the backs of the tiles and started mounting them to the mirror. I just added a little bit more liquid nails to the pieces that were going over the clips. Then I added a second row of tiles, and after that I started working my way up the sides of the mirror. Started adding tape as needed. The next day I removed the tape. I purchased some black caulking. I added it along the edges. After I added the caulking, I wiped it away using the lint-free cloth with the mineral spirits. See how one long weekend and a few DIY projects transformed this bathroom. I purchased a 60-inch kitchen sink base. I painted it, applying several coats. I had granite cut for the top. Using leftover vinyl plank flooring, I attached several pieces to the wall. Grabbed some trim pieces, I cut these to size, painted them a dark gray that coordinated with the hexagonal tile, and then simply put those on the edges of the vinyl plank accent that I had installed. The only thing left now was the back wall, so the quickest and easiest thing to do was to cover it. The next step was to take some scrap wood pieces, painted them with the same paint again, added some inexpensive brackets, and mounted them to the wall.
So I went to the dollar store and I bought 3 bags of those vase filler gems. After sorting them, I washed them off using Blue Dawn and water, and then laid them out to dry. I drew lines from the edge of the vanity to meet the mirror line. I applied a thin coat of mastic using a small notched trowel. Then the fun began as I pressed the gems into the mastic. I worked in small sections so the mastic wouldn't dry too quickly. Once I was done, I mixed the grout. I mixed 1 cup of grout to a half a cup of water. I applied the grout in small sections, making sure I was pushing it between each of the gems. I wanted to make sure that every spot was filled in between them. After 1 hour, I checked again, and yep, it was nice and dry. Using a large spun and plain water, I washed away all of the excess grout. I removed the painter's tape that I had placed on the top of the vanity and applied caulk, smoothing it out with my finger.